I think we should probably, get into the meat of this episode and talk about the wrestles.
Well, true. But you know what? I mean, we're already kind of on a somber start because of this whole Mocha situation. You know, like we might as well talk about some of the deaths that have happened this week, unfortunately, in pro wrestling. I think that would, let's just get all that
very appropriate
stuff out of the way.
Yes, there was a famous Memphis promoter, Burt Prentice. He was also a manager when he was younger.
Right.
And then Jody Hamilton, who was one half of the Assassins, he passed away as well. A lot of people, it's like great respect for him and what he contributed to wrestling as a trainer as well in his later years. And then most recently, Bobby Eaton, one half of the Midnight Express, and definitely the best tag team wrestler. I don't think there's any question, now or in the future.
Right.
Bobby Eaton's probably the quintessential tag team wrestler. What are your memories of Bobby Eaton?
Man, WCW Saturday night with the old the ring that would rotate on the stage. I just remember seeing him giving that I think it's the Alabama Jam or something. Yeah, it was the knee drop, right?
It was the leg drop. I mean, he's the only person I can think of who did a top rope leg drop all those years and didn't seem to fuck up his hip. You think
Psychosis is the only other person I know that did that.
Right. Psychosis is it. I think as far as those two kind of found the gift. Like you'd see other wrestlers have top rope leg drops when they're younger, and then they stop doing that real quick when they want to prolong their careers.
You know what's funny? And just thinking of this, I used to actually have a WWF trading card of Hulk Hogan, and on the back it said his finisher was the top rope leg drop, and I'm like,
can you imagine?
What? Yeah, Hogan on the top? What's he thinking?
Yeah, that would have been amazing if he did. So that'd be like video game, like extra special finisher option.
Right,
for sure.
Right, arcade mode.
Right, but back to Bobby.
Yeah,
Eaton. Now I have to admit, when I watched a lot of Midnight Express, in my younger days. Honestly, I did it to watch and study from Jim Cornette. So I wasn't watching a whole lot of what Bobby and Stan or Bobby and Dennis were doing in the ring. But I can respect for what I do remember seeing of him. I can respect what he did in the ring. His Nightbreaker he did was so smooth and effortless. I always kind of questioned the physics of like a twisting Nightbreaker like that, but his made sense to me.
It was funny. I was listening the other day to Dave Meltzer talk about his death. And he said that he thought, and I thought this blew me away. He thought that if Bobby Eaton were around today and a wrestler in today's mode, that he would be in like the top 10 wrestlers in the world.
I believe it. I think even for his time, he was one of those top guys and somebody who never really got his due. And I think a lot of that has to do with, he is such a versatile, he's a good hand, good tag team wrestler, maybe never believed in as much as a singles guy. Also, not the most handsome-looking guy in the world. Let's be honest. He didn't have movie star top guy looks.
No, he didn't. But man, he wrestled a style. A lot of people don't know. They saw a lot of his older stuff, but when he was first out, he was doing top rope moves like every other move. The guy was, he was doing stuff that vets were like, you're going to kill yourself later on with your hips and your knees and everything like that.
Every generation hears that. And I think, Bobby was definitely one of those guys who paved the way for people of his size and his technique today. Also, you love the humorous side of him as well. I mean, thinking about his time in WCW and the York Foundation. When he had Robert Eaton, and then when he Squire or Earl of Eaton, there's Squire Robert Earl of Eaton.
So I don't know
like that from WCW the Blue Bloods. We're just talking in circles, yes, and putting on the rope because he was like 1/18th. Royal or something, and the vignettes of him and Lord Steven Regal. He's trying to pretty woman him up. He's trying to get him all classed up for being a royalty, a blue blood. I think that was great. It's just one of those subtle character things that you don't always think about when you think of a wrestler like Bobby, who is better known for being in the background or being kind of a team player. But I think that was another great side of his act. It's funny. I'm actually just watching a lot of 92 WCW right now in preparation for the next classic review I'm doing, which he plays a pivotal role in the main event. And so it's been great to kind of watch some of his stuff as well in the build up for that. It's just, somebody who was always, you seem to hear this a lot. But with Bobby Heenan, with Bobby,
that's a love child.
Someone mash Heenan and Eaton's
face
great
together.
Talker,
great worker.
Yeah, right. Ugly as sin, but boy, could he work and talk. But no, I think it was just one of those things where it's never a bad word said about him. It's one of those things where if you got Bobby hot about something, you got him mad about something, then you knew you crossed the line.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that Bobby, I mean, it's funny because Bobby, I remember him as a single star more than I do watching him, with the Midnight Express, because when Stan Lane and Jim Cornette left Turner, or TBS or whatever it was that they were with, that's when they decided to keep Bobby on as a single star. So I got a lot of his singles action growing up, so that was the WCW that I remember stepping into, being a first time watcher. So yeah, rest in peace to Bobby Eaton and the other two gentlemen as well. Was there something else you wanted to add?
There's more
that?
about I want to talk about. I think it's just
okay.
I think it is fascinating that he lasted as long as he did. Like going back when I go back and watch stuff for research, I'm always surprised. God, he wrestled on television until like 2000 or 2001 almost. He was in the last WCW video game. It was his only video game appearance was in Mayhem, second to last game they did. He also, I think he had a bit of a trial run in ECW in like late 2000. There was something, apparently they wanted him to be kind of a player coach kind of role. Okay. But it's not like ECW was able to hand out a bunch of contracts in late 2000, so it just never really panned out. But he's one of those kind of one and dones there in ECW. You think about guys like Sid or Jake Roberts, and Bobby Eaton's kind of one that not everyone really remembers. And that's kind of fascinating. Something I learned kind of recently about it. Also, one thing I did, and we'll just talk about this now. This morning I sent out a call to my Twitter followers, asking for anyone to have if they had any favorite Bobby Eaton memories or matches. And so I'm just going to read a few of these off. Okay. And we'll just kind of reflect on that. King Leo III talking about how he couldn't stand, Bobby and Dennis Condrey and Cornette when he was younger. Such good heels. His favorite memories are his time in the Dangerous Alliance. Couldn't put on a bad match. Then you've got someone like Alabama Jam, a very appropriate retitling for his Twitter profile. His match with Flair for the WCW title, best of 3 falls of Clash of the Champions. Probably his best singles match they've ever had. Tim Thomas writes, if it wasn't for him, the Skywalker scaffolds matches would have been a disaster. He made those matches worth watching. Those scaffold matches are always... they were very interesting to watch because you just couldn't, how could you make those matches look any kind of passable?
I've seen the one, and it was because of Jim. I wanted to see his knees go out. He always talks about it.
Bubba, pick me up.
Damn, dropping from the floor. Anyway, you would think with him being your illegitimate father at one point in wrestling that you'd have a better impersonation of him than me.
No, my impression these days is just Bruce Pritchard doing an impression of him. He nails it, I think.
He does pretty dang good.
Yeah. Gary Moore talks about Bobby's match with Arn Anderson for the TV title. That was a kind of a cool run for him. The singles run we're talking about, his time with the TV championship.
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. MC Squatch talking about his time teaming with Lord Steven Regal, like we talked about. Got to show his world-class tag team skills, also exercising his little-used comedy chops. So, yeah, a lot of people definitely impacted by Bobby Eaton's passing this week.
I heard you could never find a nicer guy, is what people said.
Right. One of those people where it's hard to find a bad word or a crossword about him, or him dicking a guy over in the ring or taking liberties on anybody. So it's just one of those things where you hate to hear a story of a soul such as his going the way he did.
Want to hear more? Subscribe to This Week in Regret on YouTube for full episodes of the podcast, dropping every Thursday night. Don't forget, we're also on SoundCloud.